Last week, the Gators may have found out exactly what they were made of in uncharted territory. Now Florida braces for another test on the road in all too familiar Rocky Top. With this week's 3 and Out, I'm Talal Masri. For the first time since 2006, the Gators rallied from 10 points down to win a game. Considering the significance of last week's game and Florida's fourth quarter woes last season, the 20-17 win in Aggieland was maybe Will Muschamp's biggest win as the Gators head coach. Muschamp says the Gators have a saying, man down, man up. The first key to this week's game against Tennessee will be Florida's ability to man up and adjust to injuries. Florida weak side linebacker Jelani Jenkins broke his right thumb and is out for a month. Junior cornerback Cody Riggs got a slight fracture in his right foot and will miss 4 to 6 weeks. Senior safety Josh Evans suffered a shoulder injury, and several other Gators went down with cramps, including offensive tackle Chaz Green. But Evans and Green will be good to go against the Vols. Jenkins and Riggs will be the only two Gator defenders not playing this week who played last week. The injuries that will keep Jenkins and Riggs out for a while are unfortunate, but if Saturday's game in College Station proved anything, it proved without a doubt that the Gators are significantly deeper than last year, especially on defense. Florida is not having to school its defenders on how to play multiple positions like the team was forced to do last year. That means less confusion and more comfort on Muschamp's defense. Jenkins will be replaced by freshman Antonio Morrison. Muschamp says the athletic Morrison, who chose Florida over Tennessee and Alabama among others, plays well in space, using his speed and instincts when put on an island. However, he's also a physical linebacker that plays well against two-back sets. Morrison caught the coaching staff's attention with an excellent spring, and now he gets an early chance to show what he can really do in the fall. Mike Taylor and John Bostic can play at middle or weak side if need be. Darren Kitchens can play weak side or strong side. That means 4 linebackers will be in the rotation at Jenkins' weak side spot. Muschamp pointed out if need be, strong safety Matt Elam could play nickel or strong side linebacker. As for Riggs, Coach Will Muschamp was pleased with the way Jabari Gorman and Valdez Showers did in Riggs' place. Gorman, Showers, and true freshman Brian Poole will see time this week. Watkins could play at nickel, as he eventually did last week. The Gators secondary can also take solace in the fact that Pop Saunders will return this week from his 2-game suspension for undisclosed reasons. Saunders will play at safety as well as nickel and dime. With all that said, there may be no replacing Buck linebacker/defensive end Ronald Powell, who re-injured his left knee during rehab and is likely headed for a redshirt season. Powell led the team last year with 6 sacks and was on schedule to possibly return to the team next month. He'll be reevaluated next week, but his return is unlikely. Muschamp praised Powell's resolve during his rehab, and the Gators will have to take it in stride much like he has.
He worked extremely hard as our medical staff has seen anybody dedicate themselves to rehabbing an injury at the University of Florida. And we got some folks that have been here for a long, long time. So it is a setback, but as he said before, I'm going to be fine, and we're going to work through this and through everything. So, you gain something, and we're going to gain a little bit out of this.
The injuries may have forced Florida to field many different faces, but that didn't stop the Gators from establishing their one true identity as a power-running football team. The second thing to watch this week will be the Florida running game, because the running game is always a main focus in the Gators and Vols rivalry. The team that has finished with more rushing yards has won 9 straight and 21 of the last 22 meetings. However, the Gators want to leave their mark on the ground every game. Muschamp wants to establish his program as a downhill running football team to the same extent that Steve Spurrier did with the fun and gun, and the same way Urban Meyer did with the spread. The Gators took a huge step in that direction last week, doing exactly what a prototypical ball control offense does at the end of games. Florida took over the ball with 3:13 left in the game and was able to kill the clock and Texas A&M's hopes of winning their first SEC game at home by running the ball, even though the Aggies knew it was coming. On the final drive, with Gillisley out with a strained groin, runs by Mack Brown and Driscoll, as well as an end around to receiver Solomon Patton, helped put the game on ice. On Monday, Muschamp pointed at the fact that his team rushed for 200 yards when you eliminate the yards subtracted from the 8 sacks of Jeff Driscoll and the 2 kneel downs at the end of the game. For some Gator fans, the past two victories have been too close for comfort. For Muschamp and new offensive coordinator Brent Pease, grinding out wins is exactly what they expect and want to be successful in the SEC.
Can you have great success doing other things offensively? Sure. No question. I'm not debating that. But I do think that there are certain things you need to be balanced in what you do, especially being at a place like the University of Florida and being able to recruit the student athletes you're going to be able to recruit here. And I think that he and I are very much on the same page, just like Charlie and I were, as far as where we're headed with this. Is it where we want to be right now? No. But we're headed the right direction, and I see a lot of positive movement from last year to this year of where we are.
The third thing to keep an eye on this week will be the Gators' ability to defend against the Vols' aerial attack. For the third straight game, Florida will be facing an up-tempo offense, which was installed this year by Tennessee coach Derek Dooley and third-year offensive coordinator Jim Chaney. Although its first two wins have come against non-SEC opponents, Tennessee leads the SEC in passing after two games. Quarterback Tyler Bray has completed 71% of his passes for 707 yards, 6 touchdowns, and just 1 interception in only 2 games. Bray did lose All-SEC receiver Derek Rogers, who led the SEC in receptions and was second in receiving yards last season. He was indefinitely suspended prior to the season for an unspecified violation of team rules before he later admitted to a couple failed drug tests. However, Bray does have Justin Hunter, who tore the ACL in his left knee in just the third play of the game in last year's 33-23 loss to the Gators. There's no doubt he'll have an extra chip on his shoulder this week. Hunter already has 17 catches for 219 yards and 3 TDs so far. Meanwhile, 6'3", 205-pound junior Cordero Patterson has filled in admirably as the number 2 wideout, grabbing 9 catches for 164 yards and a TD. Just like Hunter, Patterson has some speed and the Vols like to use it. The dynamic Patterson has also carried the ball 3 times for 90 yards, including a 67-yard touchdown in the opener against NC State on an end-around in which he eluded 4 defenders on the way to 6 points. Florida's secondary will likely be tested over the top by Rocky Top early on in the game, with Riggs out of the lineup. Expect the Vols to run 3 or 4 wide receiver sets to take advantage of some unproven players that the Gators may be forced to put on the field in those situations. Muschamp says the Tennessee offense has looked very impressive in its first 2 games.
Tyler Bray is a guy that's very accurate with the football, can make all the throws. You turn on the tape, and he's got touch on the ball. He can throw the ball down the field. He can throw it on a line, but he makes all the throws. Hunter and Patterson are outstanding at wideout, 2 explosive guys that can stretch the field vertically, got really good ball skills down the field. They can make all the plays. The tight ends back, they're 300-plus up front. 4 out of 5 starters return on the offensive line, but they've certainly been very explosive in their first 2 ball games.
Florida will be looking to make it 8 straight wins over Tennessee. That's the longest reign of dominance in the rivalry since Tennessee won the first 10 meetings starting in 1916. The Gators have owned the rivalry with the Vols since then, winning 22 of the last 31 games. This is also the first meeting since 2007 that both Florida and Tennessee are ranked in the polls, with Florida at number 18 and Tennessee at number 23. With this week's 3 and Out, I'm Talal Masri.